bit different. I'll explain in a minute if you're already on this for live. Hold on one second. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. I see you, Ruth. If you can hear me, wave your hand. Okay, fantastic. So it looks like we are live streaming and we are here on Zoom. So this is going to be a little bit different for folks who are just joining us for the first time, or maybe the first time in a while. We've been live streaming from PJTC. Fun fact about PJTC is the roads to PJTC also coincide with several of the roads used in the parade for the Tournament of Roses that is taking place tomorrow, and they're getting set up tonight. And so because of all that, we are, I asked folks who've been around PJTC for a while, what do we usually do when Shabbat falls on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day? And some folks said, well, we've often just said, let's not have services this week. However, I didn't want to go that route. Because we're able to live stream, even though the roads to the temple might be blocked off that you might usually take. And so I didn't want to put anybody out to feel like you had to come to a building for services. Nevertheless, I wanted to make sure we had services for everybody who wanted to participate, including the people who have yard sites for people whose names will be reading at these services. So I wanted to make sure you had access to that. So we are live streaming from Casa de Carrier this evening. So thank you for any difference in the setup that you're used to. You know, it's my house because that's my ketubah. This is pictures of several generations of men in my family, including my father, my great-grandfather, and me, and my sons. So that's how you know this is my house. So we're going to get started in just a second. The other thing is we've already blessed the candles here, so we're not going to do the normal candle blessing because you can't bless candles twice. But we are going to start with a wonderful song that is on, let's see, page 13. I do have my prayer book here. For anybody in the Zoom who doesn't have the prayer book, I'm going to share a link with you in the chat right now. Let's see. Hopefully that works for people who want to download a virtual copy of our prayer book. It is in PDF. It is in the chat right there. Let's see. That's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and grab a drink myself. Let's see. All right. So we've got stuff set up for Kiddush. I've got a prayer book. Camera's on. People can hear me. Let's make Shabbos. So if you've got a prayer book that you're following along with, you can turn to page 13. Anybody who knows this tune can join us for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're going to continue with a couple of the Psalms for Kabbalat Shabbat, starting with Lechun Ranana on page 15. Page 15. Lechun Ranana l'Adonai, Naria letzo ishenu, Nekadma fanav betodah, Bizmirot nari alo, ki el gadol Adonai u'melech gadol, asher biyado ki hu Eloheinu, Arba'im shana akut bador ba'omaram to'el bavhem vehem lo yadu derachai asher nishpati v'api em yavon el menuchati shiru l'Adonai shir chadash shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Page 16. Shir l'Adonai baruch shemo b'asam עוד והדר לפניו עוז ותפארת מקדשו. ישפיע אדוני בחפץ קודש. אב תיקון תבל בלתמו, ילדים עמים ומשרים, ישמחו השמיים. כל הצייד לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט הבל בצדק ועמים באמונתו. אדוני מלך תגל הארץ, ישמחו. On page 17. שם תשמיד ציון, כי אתה כל הארץ. עוזרו על הצדיק, ולישרי לב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש. Page 18. B'hatzor v'kol shofar, לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט הבל בצדק ועמים במישרים. Let's take a look at Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi is on page 21. Page 21. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yababai pre Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yababai pre Shabbat nekavela. Shamo וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לקראת שבת. לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבתי לה. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yababai pre Shabbat לקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יבביי 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 פני שבת לקבלה מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קומי אורי מתוך ההפכה רב לך שבט בעמך בכה והוא יחמור עלייך המה התנערי מעפר קומי לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי היד בן ישי בית הלחמי קורבי אל נפשי גלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יבביי 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 פני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יבביי 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 פני שבת לקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יבביי 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 פני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יבביי 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 פני שבת לקבלה או לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת לקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי בך יחסו אני עמי ונבנתה עיר אל תילה והיו למשי סוף שועשייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמשוש התן על קלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת לקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על יד איש בין פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה. Please rise. הולך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובתולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה הולך דודי לקראת קלה Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Kol echad yori likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Maybe be seated if you wish. Just want to share one more psalm for Kabbalat Shabbat. It's a special psalm just for Shabbat. It says so right in the top. Mizmor Shir Le'Yom Shabbat on page 23. Page 23. We just sing the first couple of lines for this evening. It's good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God, to affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, lehagid baboker chastecha, lehagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatcha balelot, ve'emunatcha balelot, tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, lezamer l'shimcha elyon, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome into my home, where we're celebrating Shabbat as a community here at PJTC. I never get to have you all over here, so this is really, really special for me, and maybe we'll make this sort of an early secular New Year celebration, shall we? Just want to share a few brief words of Torah and also a word of gratitude before we go on to the second part of our service, the Ma'ariv service. The words of Torah come from this week's Parsha, Parshat Vayera, where we're getting into the plagues part of the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim, the leaving of Egypt. The plagues were actually split across this week's Torah portion, Parshat Vayera, and next week's Torah portion, Parshat Bo. Not evenly, however. We have this week's Torah portion has the first 7 plagues, and then next week's Torah portion has the last 3 plagues. And you add those up, that gets to 10. That's where we have 10 plagues. Base 10 math in the book of Exodus as well. What we do see in these first 7 plagues is a shift. And it's a shift of agency, if you will. And Maimonides notices this when he takes a look at this Torah portion, and he writes about it in the Mishnah Torah, Hilchot Tshuva, chapter 3, I think, Halacha 3, where he notices that in the first part of the plagues, when the plagues are coming upon Egypt, and at each point, Pharaoh has a decision to make, where Moses says, hey, Pharaoh, bro, kind of, if you don't let my people go, something bad's going to happen. And Pharaoh doesn't let us go, and bad things do happen. And when Pharaoh has that decision to make, it keeps talking about the hardening of his heart. The word sometimes sort of made into stone or made heavy, concealed, if you will. And what Maimonides notices is in these first few plagues, that verb about the hardening is either stated with Pharaoh as the subject, or it's stated in the passive voice. Either Pharaoh hardened his heart, or elsewhere his heart was hardened. When we get to the sixth plague, after that, there's a mix of the passive voice, but we lose Pharaoh's voice in this. It's no longer Pharaoh hardening his own heart. Either his heart is hardened, or it says God hardens Pharaoh's heart. And Maimonides, who is a big proponent of free will, and the idea that from our first moment of biting into the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, from that moment forward, human beings were responsible for their own moral choices. We must, he thinks, have free will by design. And so this shift in how Pharaoh responds, whether he hardens his own heart or God hardens his heart, is significant to Maimonides. Because if it's God hardening Pharaoh's heart and making Pharaoh not let the people go, that's problematic if we're trying to teach people that they have free will, that they have moral responsibility. Why would God take Pharaoh's power to choose away from him? And so Maimonides looks at this difficult example of God seeming to rob Pharaoh of Pharaoh's free will and says, this has to be a lesson for us. And the lesson is this: it's not that we don't have free will, it's that free will is kind of a use it or lose it proposition. Meaning, yes, tshuva is possible. In almost all circumstances, tshuva is possible. That is, being able to repent, being able to look at your deeds, evaluate them, disavow them, and set yourself on another path. This is always a path that's available, unless we keep ignoring that path, unless we keep distancing that possibility from ourselves. And what Maimonides sees is Pharaoh has 5 chances to make tshuva, to turn around, to do something else, to live another life, to take another path. And after he blows those 5 chances, well, the rest of the plagues are fait accompli. The rest of the plagues are his punishment for not having made a better choice when he could. And I know I'm talking about this in year 2 of plagues. You know, this thing keeps going on and on, this coronavirus pandemic that we are in, and I can't wait to talk about something else, believe you me. We keep having chances, and many people are making good choices. That's the word gratitude I want to have tonight, is that as we close this secular calendar year, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has made good choices, to everybody out there who's been vaccinated, has gotten your family vaccinated or encouraged them to be vaccinated. Thank you. That was a good choice. That was a mitzvah. I fully believe that from the bottom of my heart. That was a mitzvah that you did for yourself, for your family, for your community, for the world. All the people who have sweated the details at PJTC, both to bring great services, usually from the sanctuary, some hard choices. Could we do B'nai Mitzvah online if we couldn't get together, right? Could we break bread together even if that bread's in a to-go box? Yes, we can. right? And to everybody who has followed the rules, everybody who has listened to the science and respected people's choices and said, look, this isn't how I love to do Jewish, but this is how I'm going to do Jewish because I love Jews and because I love people in our family and because I love people in our community. And for making that decision, thank you. There are those who persist in not making good decisions. And I'm not here to judge. That's not my job. There's only one judge, and I stake my life on that. I'm imploring you to make good decisions before the opportunity is no longer yours to take. But let me close with gratitude to all the people who have not only made good choices, done a mitzvah for yourself and your community, who have abided by the safety protocols and even contributed to the creativity of the safety protocols and the wonderful services we've been able to have this whole time. But most of all, thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining me this evening and every Shabbat. Even though this isn't my preferred way of getting together, I am so grateful that we still can. And I'm mostly grateful to you for just showing up and being a part of this PJTC community. And Shabbat Shalom from all of us at PJTC. And we're going to have a little Mariv service right now, and then I'll see you next year. So with that, let's go ahead and turn to page 28, for our call to blessing the Baruch Hu. It's our custom to rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. You may be seated if you wish. We bless God for fashioning the sunset as well as the dawn, and now we bless God for the abundance and the constancy of God's love. Ahavat Olam on page 29. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Am Havta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shovenu kumenu nosiach bechukecha v'nizmak b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem hayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu ubehem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla v'vata tasir mimenu le'olamim baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Page 30. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Continue the bottom of page 30 at your own pace. We'll get back together in just a minute. Page 31. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta lehem v'asu lehem tzitzit al kanfei vigdehem ledorotam v'nanu al tzitzit hakanah patil techelet v'haya lechem letzitzit uritem oto uzkartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam Velo taturu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem asher atem zonim acharechem leman tizkeru asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelochechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher chotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet ve'emunah kol zavav. On page 32, page 32. U'malchuto b'ratzu kablo alehem Moshe bnei Yisrael lachanu shira b'simcha rabah ve'amru kulam Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Norat tehilot osef eleh Malchut karu b'necha bokeyam lifnei Moshe Zeli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed ונאמר כי פר אדוני יעקב וגדול מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל. Page 33. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ומעמידנו מלכנו חיים סוכת שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. 34. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ויתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה במה דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם מעלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי לקודשא בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama avimaru. Amen. It's our custom to rise for the Amidah for Shabbat evening on page 35b. This is a private Amidah, so you can pray at your own pace and even in your own words. And when you're finished with your personal prayer, you may be seated, and we'll get back together in just a couple of moments. We conclude the Amidah for Shabbat evening with Kaddish Shalem on page 48. Page 48. יקרא ויקרא שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירתי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חורב ימי חורב חיי דכו בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב אמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ותהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו, לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בימה ואמרו, Amen. Tikavat sot hon avad hon l'kol Yisrael kadam avahon v'yishmai v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru. Amen. We rise for Aleinu on page 51. Page 51. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ. אלוקים אפס לא טוב. על כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהים. כי המלכות שלך היא עולמיה תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. You may be seated if you wish. Just going to grab a piece of paper over here. This is a time before we conclude our service that we remember with honor those who are no longer with us. This week at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, we're marking the Yahrzeit, that is the anniversary of the passing of Adele Reisman, Berta Newman, Betty Midler, Chaim Silberblatt, Doug Smith, Edward Scher, Erna Esther Goldschmidt, Esther Roth, Ava Zuckerman, Frank Miller, Frederick Holzer, Gilbert Friedman, Gregory Babin, Hannah Eisenberg, Helen Reichler, Jeremiah Streisand, Joan Greenberg, Kate Taylor Sherman, Laurel Breitbart, Lee Phillips, Marion Obadoza, Mary Crane, Melvin Spira, Minnie Leibovitz, Miriam Rubenstein, Nathan Tobias, Oscar Cragen, Pauline Silverblatt, Ronald Dean Crown, Rose Unger, Ruby Swerdlow, Ruth Finn, and Samuel Jaslow. If you have another name that you'd like to lift up on honor at this time, please hold their name in your heart or say it out loud wherever you are. And if you're marking a Yahrzeit this week or in mourning for anyone, please rise and join us for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 52. Let's pray together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chaychon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala Ubizman Kariv Vimru Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Olalmei Almaya. Yitbarach Vishtabach Vitpa'ar Vitramam Vitnaseh Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shmei Dekudsha Brihu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata Veshirata Tushmechata Venechamata Damiran Be'alma Vimru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. So we're going to conclude our service there. I'm sorry we don't have the musicians here in my home, and they're resting this week. They should get a weekend off every once in a while too. So I want to thank everybody. You can be seated if you wish, unless you want to rise for Kiddush. But we're going to do that in a moment. But just thanks again, everybody. Welcome to my home. You've all been so well behaved and such good guests. I'm happy to have you here. So we're going to go ahead and make Kiddush. As far as announcements go, there's services again tomorrow at 9:30, and also make sure to mark your calendars. The next Shabbos after that, let's see, is it? I think it's Dash Paper's Bar Mitzvah. So make sure you're around for that. So take this moment. I know we're following Ruth into her kitchen. Take this moment, if you will, to grab something for Kiddush. And so, hold on just a second. I'm going to pin that there. And let's see, I've got a cup of grape juice right here. And let's see, I got some challah. It's going to stay covered up until time. And I've got a little washing cup here as well. So first things first, let's make Kiddush. I don't know if you know this, now that you're in my home, you can see my cool stuff. This is a Kiddush cup that my son gave me for a present. This looks like a handmade ceramic cup. ויערב ויבוקר יום השישי, ויהולו השמיים והארץ, וכל צבאם, ויעל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברג אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי משפטי. וחבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו ביבב רצון הנה לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תהילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו ובחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנהלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. All right, I don't have a fancy washing set like we do at Shul. At home, we just use bowls and a jelly jar glass. So it's old-fashioned. So just you'll have to listen for the splashing. Just trust me that I'm washing my hands over here on your behalf. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu an netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you for coming to Casa de Carrier, for being a part of the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center family. So grateful to you this Shabbat. Everybody stay safe and healthy and snug on this Gregorian New Year's Eve. If you're going to the parade tomorrow, be sure to stay safe and enjoy yourself. And we are having services right back here at the Carrier home at 9:30 tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let's see all the cool people that I had at my house today. Let's see, Veronica and Shoshana and Neil. Great to see you. And Ruth, I don't know if we broadcasted most of this from Ruth's house. We'll see. And Rhonda, and I saw Michelle and Veronica. Thanks, everybody. And Adriana was here. Wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thanks for being a part of this beautiful community we have.